Welcome to the weekly newsletter for the Spring Trail Running Clinic. Before we get started, I just want to take one more moment, and on behalf of the entire PACE team, I just want to thank everybody for choosing us to spend your spring with, to trust us with your goals. We've seen your goals. We're stoked to hit the trails with you and to support you guys over the next 3 months and have some fun together out on the trails. We do have a little bit of a mixture of folks that are training with us, and I just want to speak to that really quickly. I think it's really important to recognize and just sort of communicate that we've got people that are going to be training virtually that are from Kelowna. Okay, they snagged a virtual spot. They weren't able to maybe get an actual in-person spot. We have people that are obviously training within Kelowna that are in person. We have people that are out of town, strictly virtual, and we have some people that are kind of just outside Kelowna, Vernon, Salmon Arm, Penticton that are training both virtually and or in person. I also want to speak to the fact that all of us are in a different place for the most part within our training, and it's not for better or for worse. I just want everyone to know that no matter where you're starting this clinic or what your goals are, you can get to where you want to be, even if it looks a little bit different from somebody else in this clinic. Okay, so before we kind of kick into the actual training for this week, one thing that I want to mention is it's hard to believe that it's been a year now since we've gone primarily virtual since the pandemic started. And in 2020, when we shifted over to our virtual platform, we had a really, really big emphasis on staying connected, on staying positive, on helping keep people stay motivated through such a challenging time. And this year, although we're still focusing on those components, we still recognize that they're vital for us. Since 2021, we've really taken a stronger shift into performance, into training, into tangible training tips, and we're going to sort of continue with that and try to blend both of those, but with a little more emphasis on your training this spring. Okay, in the spring clinic, we kind of based in the winter clinic, we had based our winter base building on 3 tangibles, and I'm carrying that over into the spring. Although there's 800 things I could focus on, bringing it down to 3 I think was really helpful in the winter. I had good feedback on that. We're going to continue to do that. But before we focus on spring's objectives, I want to review the winter objectives, for the new people that may find these even more tangible, or you want to keep in sort of in your back pocket. But for everybody, these 3 objectives, we should all keep in our back pocket, and we should all still remember, because they are our baseline, and we should take them with us throughout the whole year. The first one was consistency, and it was the importance of actually committing to the training plan, following through, being as consistent as you can. We all have setbacks and need to adapt and make allowances, but consistency was key, and that was a main focus, and it should be your main focus again for the spring. The second one was small steps. So we were jumping into a base building program, but again, no matter what program you're jumping into right now, if you increase the load too fast, at best you maybe get sick, but at worst you end up getting injured or overtrained. That can derail you for weeks or possibly even months. So remembering that anywhere worth going, you can't get there overnight. So you need to take small steps and break things down as you go. And I think that the third thing was habit forming. And so what you repeatedly do, what you think about, the actions that you take every day ultimately forms the person you are and the things that you believe. And we had a quote, "What you are will show in what you do." And that's primarily what our challenges, we've got weekly challenges, and those weekly challenges mostly focus on creating better habits, making better choices. So they're mobility based, they're nutrition based, they're fueling based. They're things that are trying to sort of strike a chord with everybody every week. And when those things land in your lap and you're like, whoa, light bulb moment, it's for you to continue with those habits throughout their clinic and essentially, I guess, your life. So for the spring clinic, the 3 objectives that we're going to primarily focus on, the first one is going to be your goals, your way. And this kind of streams back to my introduction. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of diversity in goals in this clinic. And I just don't want anybody to get in the loophole of comparing to other people and focusing on what others are doing. I want you guys to stay in your own lane, which brings me to our next focus. Know what is important to you and to have a goal. Any goal is better than no goal. And your goals can vary, they can range, but you want to try to make your goals personal and know where you want to end up. Okay, your goals need to be about what's important to you. And in a clinic environment, it's very, very, very motivating, and everybody is so inspiring. However, there can be a situation at times where you might want to go down the rabbit hole and do that comparison. But if you know what's important to you and you know your goals, not that it won't matter what other people are doing, but it shouldn't influence your decisions and your choices in your training. So know what's important to you and to have a goal. And with that, it also means that your expectations need to match your commitment level. You can want to do something like Rendezvous 135, but if you're not really mentally and physically prepared to commit to it, you're probably not going to get there. And that also means being realistic with your goals and to make sure that they're in line with your training history. So when you're starting this clinic, where is your base? You know, what program are you following? If you've had some setbacks in the winter and you are either starting this clinic injured or you're just coming off of an injury, maybe you need to talk to me, and maybe we need to revamp some of the programming, and you might need to adapt your goals, okay? But biting off more than you can handle not only will lead to frustration, but it will most often lead to injury or to overtraining. And that's why your goals, your way. Things I know don't always go as planned, and we hope for the best, but it doesn't mean that you still can't have a tangible out of this clinic by knowing what's important to you and having your own goals. The last thing I'll say on that is that typically speaking, what I've seen in my career is a failure to clearly establish just a basic goal before beginning is often what derails even the best intentions. So try to spend some time on really establishing what's important to you and your goals. And the third thing is recommit to the work. And the main reason I put that is whatever you've done in the winter, I know the winter athletes have had a bit of a rest week. We're now entering a different training phase. And at the end of the day, there is this kind of, you got to get pumped back up. You've got to be prepared to recommit to the work. But not only that, throughout the next 12 weeks of the clinic, every time you do something, you need to celebrate it, and you need to, of course, make it matter and make it land and feel good about it. But I also need you guys to start processing the fact that that doesn't mean the work is done. You can't just go on cruise control because you've done one or two of the workouts and think that the next 2 weeks so I want you guys to not get too nervous about that or ahead of yourselves, but in the back of your mind, really mentally prepare to recommitting to the work week after week after week. And I know the work isn't done until you arrive at your destination or your goal that actually really matters to you. Okay, so to reach your maximum potential, we know it's going to require some sacrifices on top of the commitment to train. And I think one of the big things is to maybe narrow your focus a little bit. I think that some people potentially, I've sort of seen some comments or had some texts or heard, and this is coming from a very loving place, is not to get too far ahead of yourself or psych yourself out or think that you can't handle it. Okay, you need to trust that you can handle it. Narrow your focus. Broad focus is I'm looking at the whole 12-week training plan and I'm like, how the heck am I ever going to be able to do all of this? Instead of going, narrow focus. What do I need to do today, tomorrow? What do I need to do this week? Excuse me, and how can I take it week by week by week? And excuse me, with the support of myself and the team, we're here to help you achieve those goals. So your goal is your way. Know what's important to you. Have a goal and recommit to the work. So I know I drove that home probably a little bit too long. I'm going to roll through the next little bit for you guys. This week's challenge is a hip mobility video workout challenge. It's intended for you guys to do a minimum 2 times this week, 1 to 3 rounds of it, in conjunction with a Wednesday and Sunday workout. And that's how you earn your check mark on the Google accountability sheet. Okay. In the performance section, every week we'll have a different performance focus. I've kept it relatively simple this week. I have goal setting, which I've driven home. And I've also put a training log up there because I think kicking off the clinic and writing down every little thing you can, whether you have a niggly little hip, whether you had a breakthrough run and it's because of something that you changed in your diet or you got more sleep or the shoes that you're wearing or however detailed you want to be, the more the better. But I really believe in manually writing down Sunday nights, getting your last week out, adding up your totals, seeing where you land and setting yourself up for the following week. So performance is goal setting, and there's links to training plan or training logs on there. We have a hashtag every single week. I want you guys to think of the hashtags this year more as a mantra, more as something that sort of speaks to you, that motivates you, that I don't know, just a reminder to what your focus is for that week, opposed to a hashtag for social media. Unlike last year, there's no bonus points for posting to social media. I encourage you guys to post to social media. If you want to share the pace loud, be an influencer, motivate your fellow runners and community. Again, we encourage that, and we love seeing it, and we know the impact that that does have on each other. For us to get out the door in a day when we're humming and hawing, and we've seen that the Judester is down on the rail trail and with her rocks lined up, and she's got her intervals done, for example. So anyone who uses the hashtag, just know that I don't get a notification unless you actually tag Pace. So if you're on your social media and you tag at Pace Trail Runs, I get a notification. At least I can see you've done it. I can comment on it, or we can share it to our social media, providing your account isn't private. I'm not saying you need to not be private. There's no pressure for that. I just want you guys to know why we're sharing some people's posts. We might not be able to share yours if you're private. So if you want that, you just need to take that into consideration. So I'm going to leave the video there for the most part. See you guys on Zoom. By the end of the Zoom call tonight, you won't hear from me for another week, I'm sure. But a few reminders: bring a pen and paper for the Zoom call. Print off some of the programs or have it handy on a phone or your computer close by. We're just going to do some quick introductions tonight. We are going to go over the communications and setup, make sure everybody's set up properly. But we're going to focus on the training plans, the training outline, some focuses and tips, and answer questions. So if you have questions, bring them tonight. And then after we review those things, anybody that wants to stay on for introductions, meeting new people, have a little visit, you're welcome to. Excuse me, I want to mention that I will be recording the Zoom call tonight. So you should know that before the call, as well as I'll post it to the website. The website is private access for those that have the password, which is Mountaintop. So it won't be publicly posted, but I will post it in case anybody can't make the Zoom call tonight. Okay, last two things. We want to wish Cynthia a very happy birthday. Cynthia, you are such a cheerleader, and you do such a great job of always celebrating everybody around you. And this week, we want you to know that we are celebrating and we love you, and we hope that you have a great birthday week. Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys with our top 3 training objectives for the spring. Your goals, your way. Know what's important to you, have a goal, any goal, and recommit to the work. We'll see you tonight at 7.